Hello everyone and welcome back to the Hurricane HQ, and in this video we'll be going over the current weather pattern which is currently impacting the United States, anything from extreme heat in the northwest to flooding in the southwest. We'll be going over all of that, as well as our current situation with severe weather and the tropics, most specifically in the eastern Pacific. So right now in the eastern Pacific, we are watching two storms, which are Georgette and Frank. Tropical Storm Frank right now is currently expected to become a hurricane quite soon, actually. It is a high-end tropical storm. For those details, it is a 55 knot or 65 mile per hour tropical storm with a minimum central pressure of 993 millibars. And if we do take a look at that forecast cone here, it is expected to become a hurricane probably by, I'd say, later today into early tomorrow. It looks like it will become a hurricane. Just in a very short amount of time, honestly. It could become a hurricane any time, as it is strengthening quite quickly and is moving north, although luckily this storm is not expected to impact land and is expected to weaken into a tropical storm by Tuesday and a tropical depression by Wednesday. Now, if we take a look at Georgette here, you can see not as much of a storm here. It is only 50 miles per hour. But we are looking at the potential for it to slightly intensify, possibly. But it's looking like it's going to stay below a hurricane, and it does look like it's going to stay a tropical storm, and slowly kind of move around to the north in the next 5 days. It's starting out right here, and it's going to go a little bit south and then make a turn towards the northeast there. So it's again going to be a very slow moving storm. It might even get to really almost like a stall here when it does make that turn. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to do much movement in the next 5 days, which is good. And it also does not look like it's going to become a hurricane at all at this time, and also not expected to make impact land. And since that's basically all that's happening in the tropics, and there isn't anything going on in the Atlantic here, we'll take a look at our current U.S. watches and warnings here. Now, we'll start from the west to east, and as you can see, we have a huge area of heat here. This is heat advisories in the orange and excessive heat warnings in the purplish color there, or violet. And in this area, we are watching for the potential of temperatures above 100, possibly, and it's just going to be very excessive heat. And again, heat stress is a huge problem across much of the Northwest and even portions of Northern California. Basically, all of Oregon and all of Washington is going to be seeing some excessive heat, with an exception to some of the coastlines, as it will be a little bit cooler on the coast. Now we move to the southwest here. We're looking at a pretty interesting thing to see here. A huge flood watch issued all the way from portions of Arizona all the way up into Kansas. And it looks like there we are watching for some excessive rainfall associated with a monsoon, which is currently moving through and bringing a lot of precipitation and moisture to the area. So probably some drought relief. If I do look at the drought monitor real quick, you can see they are in a drought, the southwest. Maybe not as much as they were at one point, but they are still in a drought, a lot of these areas here. So some excessive rainfall would be good. Well, yes, it could cause flooding, especially how dry the ground is. It's also good because it will definitely help out with the drought situation. Now, if we take a look at our watches and warnings again, we also have a little cluster of heat advisories here in portions of Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Alabama here. This area not too concerning, although again, it is there for excessive heat, or at least high temperatures, so you definitely want to avoid outdoor activity if you're in anything really, an excessive heat warning or heat advisory, as heat stress is definitely a problem. And we also have another cluster of heat advisories here for portions of South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, so again, another area of heat. And then finally, we do have a little cluster here of some flood watches and flood warnings and flood alerts just generally in this area here. I've seen for sure yesterday Kansas and Kentucky got a lot of flooding especially river flooding. I know one river gauge actually got up to 20 feet when the normal river height was 2 feet, basically shattering the record of around 10 feet, I think, or 15 feet by far. So, yeah, definitely some very rare flooding in these areas, very extreme, and it does look like the flooding will continue there. If we do take a look at our current excessive rainfall outlook, a moderate risk for excessive rainfall and flash flooding remains in effect for portions of Western Virginia and Kentucky there, or West Virginia, and that moderate risk does mean that we do have the potential for excessive rainfall, at least a 40% chance of just flash flooding or rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance within a 25 mile of any given point. And then we also have another moderate risk area here for portions of New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Colorado there. And then we have this whole area right here, more directly associated with the monsoon area here. Just a general slight and marginal risk for excessive rainfall, which means, okay, yeah, we do have the potential for some flash flooding there. So if you do live in the southwest and you're in a slight risk there, I would definitely want to monitor the alerts, and if a flash flood warning does get issued for your area, take the proper precautions. And again, if we take a look at tomorrow's excessive rainfall outlook, that slight risk does remain for much of the Four Corner states there and the southwest. So again, 2 days of flash flooding possible, and then even on day 3 here, we do have that slight risk. It is getting smaller, but yeah, we do have that slight risk there for portions of Arizona and New Mexico. Another thing to notice here is, as well as there on the East Coast, we are looking at some excessive rainfall as well. More excessive rainfall risks being issued for the Kentucky area, which really has seen enough. And it's just more rainfall would make their situation there worse. So let's hope that the rain we do actually get in this area isn't too heavy. And now as we take a look at our quantitative precipitation forecast here, you can see we do have all the way from day 1 to day 7 here. This is basically a forecast for how much rain will fall over a general area, and as you can see, doesn't look good for much of the areas here in Kentucky. You are still expected to get a few inches of rain, possibly 2 to 3 inches of rain in that general area there. So hopefully they won't see as much rain as forecasted, but at this time it's not looking good. So hopefully we don't see any more flash flooding in those regions. We also have all that precipitation here in the Four Corners. Almost 5 inches of rain in some isolated areas here. So flash flooding is a huge threat in portions of the Four Corners. Another thing to note is that a lot of Mexico, especially those mountains there, are in that risk for some excessive rainfall as well. So if anyone in this video is watching from this area, then definitely take precautions for flash flooding, even though I'm not sure if they directly issue flash flood alerts for those regions. And now that just generally covers all of excessive rainfall, but now we should take a look at our severe weather situation here. So generally it's a pretty quiet day, although we do have a slight risk here for portions of Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. here, I think, is included in that as well. So a slight risk is in effect for those areas, and that does mean that scattered severe thunderstorms are possible. Luckily, no tornado threat with this, although there is a 15% risk for wind, and luckily no risk for hail. So this looks like mostly a wind event here, and this marginal risk actually extends all the way down here into Texas. So generally, there is a risk for damaging winds, but that main threat will be in the Mid-Atlantic. And if we take a look at the next 2 days here, generally a quiet situation. Possibly some more severe weather on day 3 here for the Mid-Atlantic and portions of Minnesota there. And on day 2, I'm sorry I skipped it, there's a small marginal risk here for portions of Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas there. That is where we have the potential of seeing some marginally severe storms, or if not severe, strong storms. And real quick, I do want to take a look at the models here for portions of the mid-Atlantic here, as our main threat for severe weather will be here. And it looks like HRRR is hinting at some storm development in this region, although it looks quite isolated to scattered here, but you could definitely see some of those cells popping up with some large hail and probably some damaging winds as well. So again, there is that threat for severe weather across much of Virginia and Maryland. It just doesn't look too organized at this time. Cape is looking quite decent across the region. Probably over 1,000 joules per kilogram. I'd say 1,000 to 2,000 with isolated higher areas of Cape. And if we just quickly take a look at the NAM model, we also do have the potential for some higher Cape levels, possibly up to 3,000 across portions of the area. And if we take a look at our forecast simulated radar here, it does look actually a little bit more organized with the NAM here. You can see we do actually get a little bit of a line forming anywhere from near Richmond area all the way to Maryland there, a little bit of a line forming, and also some strong storms all the way into New Jersey and possibly even New York. So definitely a day to watch out for some storms. And it also looks like we could even be seeing storms in portions of North Carolina and south, although they look more isolated. That's going to end this video. I hope everyone found this video informative, and in the future I am planning some higher quality videos, possibly with the green screen, as I am planning on getting my green screen set up soon, and hopefully I'll be getting green screen videos out soon. But until then, I'll be sticking to on the computer and just looking at models and stuff like that. So again, I hope you found this video informative. If you have any further comments, questions, anything like that about today's weather video or anything we covered in it, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. And yeah, have an amazing day.